Hi, I'm Rusty from the Rusty Harden Studio in Tipp City, Ohio, and welcome to my video of Doodle with Color. So today we've got a cute koala bear and the little florals that I enjoy embellishing my doodles with. So I'll just mention quickly my supplies. My paper is the Bristol Smooth. I have the Strathmore, and I purchased the visual journal because it's exactly the size that I want to work with. My paints are Derwent Inktense Paint Pan Studio Set, 22 colors and a black and white. Comes with a nice little pan, and I'll show you that. I'll open this up here in a minute for the demo. I love Inktense. We'll talk more about what they are too. My pen that I'm using is a Uniball Signo Micro 207. The pen is fade proof and waterproof after it's had a chance to dry and cure. So let's get started. You might want to have a pencil and then and sketch this with the pencil first and then come back with the pen over it. It's just it's easier than trying to compensate too much if things go a little wonky. And it's okay when it happens. A lot of times I just make adjustments right on my drawing. Not striving for perfection. This is supposed to be relaxing, so if you have your supplies, whatever they are for you, then take a few deep breaths. Just think about what a cute face he has, and let's get started. So I'm gonna draw a little bit off on the side with some index cards so that I can demonstrate for you how I approach my drawing. So I'll do some of that here and before I go over to my actual paper. So I like to think that if you can see the shapes or relate to some of the lines, however you relate to them, it makes it a lot easier to draw. Because I might not be really familiar with drawing a koala bear, but there are shapes that I'm very familiar with drawing with, right? I'm very familiar with the oval. I think the ears look like maybe they could have been triangles or rectangles, depends on how you relate to them, but just kind of raggedy and just kind of cut off a little bit. So that's how I'm going to approach all of my drawing. I see their shapes or I see something that I relate to with them. So for the koala bear, I'm going to start with parentheses or brackets. These are what you would have in sentences, right? Just these guys right here. Parentheses, brackets, just depends on your point of reference. So I'm going to start with the koala bear. I'm going to start with his cheeks. I said you might want to use a pencil and then come back over with the pen. No shame in that. Perfection's overrated, so don't even strive for it. So here I have two parentheses. And then I'm going to think about the ear shape. Is the ear a triangle that gets cut off and made raggedy? Could be. So that's kind of the shape I'm going to think about up here. There it is. And I don't mind these extra lines if I happen to accidentally get them. And you'll see that in the piece I'm going to, after I sketch on here, I have one that's already dried and cured. You're going to see extra lines like this. I'm telling you, we're not about perfection. We're about relaxing and enjoying what it is that we're doing. So I hope that while you're drawing, I mentioned earlier, just go ahead and get some breaths. Remind yourself to take a deep breath. Have your hot tea. Whatever helps you relax. So there's the top of his head. His nose is an oval. He's got round eyes. I'm going to fill in one eye right here so you can see that I'm going to leave a little white spot in it. Got a couple lines here to go above his eyes. I'm going to go ahead and put a little color in this one. So you see, gives a little smile. He's going to have his leaves here. Let's talk about the leaf shapes. Again, if you start with brackets and then you taper one end and round and kind of taper the other end. Those are leaf shapes. You can get them by a single swoop, but you'll get to here after you've practiced with these two. So draw them however works for you. So here we go. I'm going to put another one here, another one here. Now, I'm just showing you how I sketch them by their shapes. I'm not putting this on my actual card yet, so notice I didn't bring any lines down here under his chin. If I think about like his eye, if I made an imaginary line to the side of his head about here, imaginary, because I don't want to put a mark across there. I start there, I kind of swing out like is the bottom of a pear or something. Then I have his body. I'm going to start back there at that same space, and I'm going to curve up. Here we go, curve up. There's his arm. I'm going to make a parallel line that matches that, and be sketchy. Hold your pen lightly, or pencil, marker, whatever it is you're drawing with. Hold it lightly. Two things. One, if you hold it really tight, you're going to have tension. You might be accustomed to writing really hard and pressing and holding your pencil or pen really tight and pushing really hard. That creates tension in your body. And we're not trying to have any tension here this morning. We're trying to be relaxed. So here we go. So I'm sketchy. If I sketch lightly, if I have lines that I don't like the direction they're going, it's okay, because I can come back and make adjustments because I've been sketchy all along. There we go. Then I'm going to draw in the tree, which I've drawn in the tree. See, sketchy works for me. There we go. I can go ahead and finish bringing his body on around because I really didn't know where it was going to be. So, adjust his fingers a little bit, his little paws, and I'll add this. Okay, so that is basically the way that I draw the koala bear. I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to talk about it step by step again. So I'm, probably close to the center is where I'm going to place his actual body, because I have this tree here that is going to fill up this space of the paper. So I'm going to think parentheses. I'm going to just walk you through the whole thing again. I'm going to think parentheses or brackets. So here we go. I'm going to be sketchy. I'm holding my pen lightly. Brackets. Brackets. And my one drawing from another drawing is never identical. Never. I don't even try. Each one's different, and I embrace that. Let me come up here and maybe do an ear. I thought about this as being a triangle that gets cut off. So now I'm going to make his little ears sticking out. But yeah, I like that. So now I'm going to come back in and make my lines a little bit heavier. Little half circle there for the inside of the ear. Let me come on over this one. This one's kind of droopy a little bit. I like that. Again, I'm being sketchy. That way I can make adjustments if I need to. I like that. So, good. Let's give him the little top of his head. Give him a little bit of tufted hair right here. There we go. Yeah, I'm pleased with that. Little fur off on the sides of the brackets. So the nose, their noses are big. So we got the nose, fill it in. Because it's a doodle, I do a fair amount of this with the pen. I could just leave it open and paint it, or add color, however you choose to do it. but I enjoy the doodle part of the drawing. Their eyes are not that big, but their eyes are circles. So I'm gonna make a little mark in there. There we go. That way when I draw around it, I remember to keep that not filled in. There we go. Little highlight there. It's got a name. I never remember what that name is. But here we are. How about a couple little dashes to indicate where the nose goes, and kind of rounded off eyebrows. Now, you can create different expressions by the type of lines you put above the eyes. So if I kind of round it off and keeps him looking happy, and if I did hard angled lines, he would look, I don't know, maybe angry. And nobody wants an angry koala. Is that even possible? Okay. So here's my smile. I'm only doing half the smile. Got the little smile curve. How far to bring it over? That's a good question. So if I kind of think about, don't go any further than the center of that eye, that would work. So I'm going to do a leaf shape here. And a leaf shape here. And a leaf shape here. Take your time. Breathe. There we are. Oh, he's so cute. Okay. Well, let's do the body. I'm going to have an imaginary line. I'm going to think about if this eye came out right here where his head is, I'd make this line swing down. I'm thinking about maybe the shape of a pear. If I were going to draw a pear, what would that look like? Just one side of it, right? So I'm going to swing out. Could be a light bulb. There's other things that I could think about that would have this come in and swing out shape. But I'm going to stop there because I'm really not sure where the tree is going to go. So about right here at the same place, I'm going to come down and curve up for his arm. And then on the other side, I'm going to start here. And I'm going to kind of parallel that line. There we go. Now he gets his little paw, thumb, his paw fingers. Notice how lightly I'm touching my paper. That's so I can make adjustments. And then I come in when I'm ready and make these lines a little bit heavier. And I'm going to make a little fur on this elbow right here. There we go. I don't really want to put this line in over there. I'm going to put color there, but I found that if I kept that line not there, this line right there, just put in the color, kind of gave him a sense of dimension, I think. So let's do the tree now. There we go. Again, being sketchy. And I'm going to flare this out a little bit down at the bottom. Just a little bit. There we go. And I'm feeling pretty good about that. So out of his paw, I'm going to make a stem here. A little farther out. Put the leaf shape there. Let's put a couple hanging on here. Looks like he's already taken a bite out of that side, right? I'll put some lines in them. I'm going to go over the lines a couple of times. I like to make the lines a little bit more substantial. We are. I'm going to make a swooshy line up here for those leaves. I tend to start with the ones on the front, on the top, or on the end, whatever you want to call this. I think it kind of sets the size and the tone for all of them. There's not a lot of them up here, just a few. And then I made a wiggly line, a wiggly line, and a wiggly line. And I put hearts on the end of them. Just made me happy. I'm going to go over those lines again. Kind of, not really follow them. Kind of gives it like a little braid look. Go over my leaves. Make my lines more significant. I don't worry about exactly going over them either. It just gives me an opportunity to maybe give it more depth. There we go. Yeah, made a little better heart look. Okay, let me have a quick look. I feel good about this. I'm gonna go ahead and bring his body on around to the tree trunk. There we go. Let's move on to the flowers on the bottom. Here we go. I'm gonna make a wavy line up. I like putting the top one on first. These aren't as big as those guys, and I'm gonna put quite a few of them all the way down. So they're not exactly equally opposite, but I want some of them pretty close, being on the opposite side. I'm not kidding you when I tell you that I just don't worry about them being perfect. But if that's who you are, have at it. Oh yeah, I like this. Okay. Each one gets a little line in it. I'm going to come over this line. I like making this line heavier. So there we go. So the flowers next to it, I make a little dome. And then I make petals all around it. Then the dome gets straight lines down, straight lines across. I create a pattern there. Little dome. Petals all around the bottom. That pattern. And we're going to do one more. So they have stems. Notice I've kind of made them a little bit, instead of being wavy, I made them a little bit broken, or not broken, kind of straight with them, a little bit edgy. Instead of having the curves, I gave them little hard turns. Now I like that. I'm going to put 3 little lines here. I like that because it gives me a nice place to put these kind of little leaves that I made up on them. But what I've got next to them to make it softer are these curlicue lines. So swirl circles, like, let's do one here. Then I'm going to put one over here, one over there, right here. Well, let's just put a swirl circle there. It softens it up. It gives it a nice balance from my straight, edgy lines. And let's see. Let's see here. One here, and let's put one there. So that gave that a nice little balance. Right? Edgy and swirly at the same time. Here I'm going to make leaves that actually come up over the tree. Let's do another one here. I put straight lines, diagonal lines on either side of the center of the leaf. And make these lines more significant. And I really want to outline these guys pretty heavy. They have a lot to compete with. It's not just going to be their color, but they have to compete with the texture of the tree. So I really wanted to make them strong. All right, I'm going to put a stem there that doesn't have a leaf on it because this is a lot further away than what these were. I've got this little plant to put right here. So I'm going to start at the top with kind of a leaf shape. I'm going to let it cascade down one under the other. I'm going to let them get a little bit bigger. They come down. Finally, there's the last one. Get little points on them. I have a little stem up here. I think I forgot to add that on the one I'm going to get that the ink is dried and cured on. I'll have to add that before I get started. So then I have the last flower over here. I'm going to make a circle. And I'm going to make these little, it kind of looks like a little whirligig kind of thing, doesn't it? So then I'm going to put circles at the end of each one of these little curved lines. Here's a stem. I have this one. I don't even try to worry about putting them all in the same place, exactly the same place as I did my sample. Everything's different. Not really that different, but you know what I mean. It's just about relaxing and enjoying where things are and not stressing that anything has to be any one way or one place. This way you can add and do whatever it is you like. I'm doing kind of like a guide, but it's up to you. It's always up to you. Now there's a lot going on in these plants, but I did that with paint, not so much with the lines. So we'll get back to that. Okay. Now I'm going to demonstrate the texture in the tree, but I'm not going to take all of your time to fill in the whole thing. But they're ovals, literally just the ovals. So this is an oval. They're narrow, long ovals. So I'm going to fill in the whole tree with these ovals. Some are bigger than others, some are longer, some are shorter. That's because I can't be that consistent, and I'm not mad at me because it's just a tree. So I'm going to go. Sometimes I end up leaving too much space. It's no problem. I just go back and add more into right there in the lines. Some of them overlap. Okay, so I'll fill this whole tree with these ovals, tree bark. I think I want to make this have a little bit more of a branch size coming off of there. Yeah, I'm going to fill that in with ink. Of course, and I always have my ovals that'll be coming right up to it. Oval, 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 oval. Yeah. Let me have a look. I'm pretty happy. Now I have one that's dried, and so I'm going to bring this one over. I do need to add this plant right here, and I don't have a lot of room for it. That's okay. I just make adjustments, just like I said. So I'm going to start here, here, I gave it a little bit of a lean that way. I'm going to go right over. I'm going to go right over that swirl circle. So now I'm going to clean them up a little bit and give them a little bit more of a point for leaf shapes. Give it a little stem up there. It's an imaginary plant. Put some lines in it. Yep, it's imaginary. And it's how I paint it that gives it this dimension, and that's what I'll be showing you here in a minute. Okay, let me have a look over. I feel pretty good about it. You see how I had to make adjustments there. I'm okay with that. So I had to make my line a little bit heavier. Make that a little heavier there. Let me have another look over. I feel pretty good. I'm going to get my paints. I have paper towel on hand, and I have a spray bottle that has water in it. You can have something as simple as I don't know, little bottle that you get for your glass cleaners, you know, for spraying. The one I have here is a little bit bigger, but I'm going to make sure I spray my. Let me pull out. These are my Inktense colors, Inktense pan set. So I'm just going to spray these a little bit. I always spray more than what I need. I spray all of them because I never want to know when I just want to go up there and get something that I didn't use, but now I decided I want to. The set comes with a water brush. I love the water brush and usually use the water brush. I'm going to use a traditional brush today, only because I'd used the water brush for another paint project and didn't put it back in my kit. So, you know, let's just be flexible, people. Let's just be flexible. So I'm going to get started with the colors. I'm using a number 4 round synthetic watercolor brush. And it has a nice little point on it. So that's all I need. I have water in a container over here if I need it to rinse out my brush. I'm going to mix and blend in here, although this set really does have a really nice place for you to mix your colors. Really can't see that in my field right here. I wipe color or water off of my brush into this sponge. You can see where I've used it a lot right here. And you know, I love what they provided for us. I really do. But I'll probably just mix some of my colors in here so that you can see me. Well, I'm going to get started with the branches up here. I'm going to pick up sorry, get a little water in my brush. I'm going to put a little water right on my palette here. I'm going to pick up the sun yellow right here. I'm going to put them right on my leaves. Just touch the color in. Then I'm going to pick up the kiwi green, and before it dries, I'm going to drop that right in. Now, if my paint goes a little bit over my lines, I really don't mind. But sometimes what I'll do when that happens is I'll come back with my pen after it's all dry and make my lines a little heavier. So, you know, like I said earlier, I just don't sweat it. I love what I do. You be you. And I'm going to follow that same color along the branch that comes out. This is the kiwi green. Pick up a little bit more kiwi green. Does not take a lot. Inktense is not a watercolor per se. It's a water media. It's a water soluble ink that when it's dry, it's also permanent. And so it's a beautiful paint. I love it. It's so, I mean, they call it Inktense because it's an ink, but it is a very intense color. And you can control how intense the colors. I just picked up the fuchsia here. You can control how intense it is by how much water you have on your palette or in your brush. More water, it'll be lighter. Less water, it'll be intense. So you've got a lot of control. So I'm pretty happy with that. I I did my little hearts. I'm going to start at the top and then work my way down. I will do the tree last though. So for the koala bear, there's a Payne's Gray in the set. So I'm going to come here and pick up my Payne's Gray. I'm going to put it right here. Very pretty color. But I don't want to just be gray. I want to put a little bit of violet in it. Just wanted to warm it up a little bit. Payne's Gray, I think, has got maybe a little bit of blue in it. And so it's a little bit cooler. So I'm in the koala bear, let's just, say it. We just know it's all just looks so warm. So I've got the color in my brush here, and I've thinned it down a lot with the water. You see how thin it is. This is when I first put it down, pulling it out, adding some water. I'm going to make sure there's a little bit more violet along here in the body. My paper, the paper handles water pretty well. But I'm not using a whole lot of water. I have water in my brush, and for a good few moments, I can move this around. Once it's kind of dried, I have to live with what it is. But as long as it's damp, I can come back and move it around. And one of the advantages is I can come move it around and get myself a few little highlights that maybe I didn't think about saving. I'm gonna put a little bit more water in my brush. Come pick up this color. Come down under that chin. There we go. So this is where I'm gonna paint this side of the body, but I didn't want a hard line there, so I didn't make a line. There we go. Just releasing a little bit of color from the side of my brush down along the body. I want a little bit more. I want a little bit darker under here. Did you see me just use my finger to move that paint right out of the way? Yep, that's what I did. So now I'm going to come back up here to my thin color again. And let's see, I'm going to push that around. I want a little bit more paint color underneath that arm. And I think I'm going to do the same thing right over here in the chest, underneath the chin. Yeah, it's easy to get highlights this way. Highlights in some shadow areas. Well, I'm going to skip these leaves right now to let the paint next to it kind of dry. So I'm going to do the same thing what I did earlier. I'm going to pick up a little bit of water in my brush. I'm going to paint these leaves a little bit of that sun yellow. Just pop it in there a little bit. I'm going to come up and get a little. Sometimes I put just a drop of water on my palette there, because I don't need to go in and get a whole lot of water. I just need to touch the drop, and that's just enough. Then I'm going to pick up the kiwi. Put the kiwi in the green for the green leaves. I'm going to cover just a little bit of the stem with that kiwi color. Got it. While I'm using those two colors, I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to go ahead and use those two colors for this odd little plant down here. So I'm going to put my kiwi on the top. Paint each one. Then right next to it, I'm going to pick up the hooker's green, and I'm going to paint underneath these leaves. Just a little bit down the center underneath, and that'll give me some nice little depth. Let me come back here. I didn't bring out my color all the way out to my points. Now I'm going to pick up this little bit of autumn. Right there it is. I must forgot through it's called a red oxide. It's kind of like an autumn red. There we go. And I love it. Okay. So I'm going to move over here. I'm almost dry enough to put those leaves up there, but I'll come back up to it. I'm going to put violet in these leaves over here. I'm just going to put a little bit of it on the palette so I can come back and pick it up whenever I want to. Start with the top one. And I'll fill these in. As I go down to the bottom, I want to make them a little bit darker as I go to the bottom. And pick up a little more color. Boy, that color is intense. There we go. Yeah. Okay. So now I'm going to move over to the little daisy flowers. I'm going to pick up my, I'm going to pick up a combination. I'm going to mix it right here on my palette. I've got the mango. And I've got yellow I want to put together. So I'm going to just touch it into these little petals. I don't mind if a little bit of white's showing through in that. Really don't. My pen work will do the work for me there. There we go. So now I'm going to pick up the bright orange. I'm going to put that right in the top. Okay, so now I'm going to pick up a little bit of my ultramarine blue. Put it in these leaves. Perfect. I kept it pretty thin. Now we're going to come to these guys. These guys are a lot of fun. I'm going to come back up to the fuchsia that I had in these hearts up here, and I'm going to put the fuchsia in each circle. Including the center. I love it. I'm going to move back over to my hooker's green. I'm going to follow the stems. And notice I went above on outside the lines of them. And here we go. So now I need to get, I'm going to come back up and get some of this mango color. Put some in the centers like so. Just want to curve them around. Following this line. And I'm going to add the bright orange. So I want to just mention this that I have several classes on Eventbrite that are free, doodle classes. And I have some watercolor paintings and the link watercolor classes that are also through Eventbrite. So please have a look. And I'm going to just put these colors on here a little bit heavier. Oh, wrong one. I wanted to come up here and get the bright orange, and also put them on now right over that fuchsia color. Okay, I'm loving on it. So I want to so have a look at my links in the description. So for the circles and the or the ovals and the tree bark, I come in, and also again I just don't worry and think about worrying about every oval. I just kind of do some in some shapes, just in the areas. kind of move them around a little bit. I'm going to pick up the natural brown. The same thing. It is kind of just leaving them here where they are. The ovals and the paper will do a lot of the texture. Ink. The ink's really awesome. Okay, I'm going to come over here and get some of this this red oxide. And the last color I'm going to add is a little bit of violet. This brightens it up just a bit. Isn't that cool? So beautiful. And I'm going to add a little bit of violet throughout it too. Let me get my violet. And yeah. I've got it right there, don't I? As it dries, you'll see some of those ovals still poking through. You'll still see the texture. You really will. My paint's thinned down a little bit. I have a nice combination of colors that remind me of wood. The last thing, come back up here now. Get my sun yellow. For the leaves he has in his mouth. I'm going to pick up the kiwi green. While it's still wet, and put it in there. So there we go, guys. I really love this one. It was fun. I enjoyed it so much, and check me out on my classes through Eventbrite. I have Doodles. I have 3 doodle classes that are free a week, and 3 watercolor classes that have a really minimal fee. For 2 of them are for beginners, and 1 of them is for a little bit more experience. So thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you soon.